Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Realm of Ori. In this video, we will continue with Volume 13, Chapter 4 Complete Victory, Part 13. And before we start, this video contains spoilers from the anime and manga series. And by the way guys, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon to get notifications for upcoming videos. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Desperate reports were sent back to Calgurio in droves. There is already a great tragedy ahead. The only thing they felt lucky about was that things came so fast that they died before they could even feel the fear and remorse. On the contrary, those who survived the horrible magic were all changed in their eyes and fled back to the main camp one by one. There was no room for rhetoric either, and the staff cried out for a retreat. Yet things evolved to such a point that they could not have survived the situation. How did this happen? Should one choose to be a slave? No, should I say, when exactly did I start doing it wrong? At this juncture, how could he have just come up with that kind of combat plan? No, that's an afterthought. How is that possible? What is that? What the hell was that? Nearly 200,000 troops were destroyed by a single blow. For the rest, it was only a matter of time before things came to this point of total annihilation. Hard, isn't it? What? Then, that magic is still on the theoretical side. There is a kind of magic that can interfere with the gravity of the planet. Classified as nuclear strike magic, that kind of magic has the most powerful and evil power, except for the huge amount of energy required, which cannot be realized without precise control. Gravity collapse, as I heard from Gadra. That's right, actually Calgurio had heard of it, but only theoretically feasible. That kind of magic is still being studied at the moment. That kind of strategic level magic can even wipe out countries. But the conclusion had been reached that that kind of magic was not possible. The other side unleashes that magic to perfection. And by just one magic creature. The Demon Lord. The word began to enter Calgurio's mind with a sense of dread that accompanied the writing. Lord Calgurio is a learned man, and I admire him most. A staff officer makes an uncomfortable remark that pulls Calgurio back to reality. Whether it's still magic on a theoretical level or not, Gadra is still selling it, saying that once this kind of magic comes true, even Veldora can kill it. Exactly. That kind of magic is just so powerful, one doesn't know the limits. So, is that a monster? There's only one of them, and it's a great magic that can be released. Some people go into a state of panic. Great. Ahaha. Go back and write it into a paper. That way we can get that forbidden spell too. Some of them discussed it furiously. One group loses their fighting spirit and the other begins to run away from reality. Their side has lost its function as a command. Even so, however, Calgurio remained the army chief, still responsible for the lives of the remaining generals and soldiers. Calgurio, he absolutely must not give up. But the situation at hand made it impossible for them to retreat. Including those who had escaped, only less than 2,000 general soldiers remained in the main camp. The dragons are headless, and even if they escape, they will only end up being killed. How powerless and weak I am. I didn't realize I was so miserable that I had to be slaughtered. The glory of the Empire, strictly speaking, it is believed that Calgurio, who was the commander, lost nearly 1 million of his general's soldiers. Report. There was a huge blaze over the battlefield. Based on the heat observed, there should be little chance of survival for those on the ground. It's over. Now the Empire is completely defeated. The adjutant could not help but murmur these words, and the staff officers fell into a silence. Let's surrender. While it's possible that the other side will accept to use the bait, it's possible that it will work. Everyone will be killed if this continues. That's all that's left for us to survive. What do people think? Instead of dying, it's better to be a slave. It's because of thinking so much that I'm proposing it, but there's always that feeling that it's too late. And right, it may not work, but we can try to negotiate and see. At least if we can keep the enemy's attention on us, the chances of Misha and their escape will increase. Even if they end up facing death, as long as word can be sent back to the Empire, this defeat will mean something. But these judgments were made too late. Kufufufufu. Surrender, right? Then there's trouble. You'll have to keep me company for a while. At the sight of Diablo, Calgurio immediately recognized the absolute difference in strength between the two sides. The first thing was to engage the other side, so he asked the guards to put down their guns. It was the right thing to do, even if the battle was lost to the opponent. The afterglow from the corner of Calgurio's eye saw that Krishna was muttering something about, "It won't work." Like Calgurio, he felt the gap in strength between the two sides was too great to be filled with despair. My name is Calgurio, and I am the highest ranking officer in charge of this operation. May I ask your name? Oops, how polite. My name is Diablo. I am the loyal servant of Demon Lord Rimuru. This is an opportunity. They did not seem to allow our troops to surrender, but responded with an engagement. If it buys time, it is equivalent to being able to keep this dangerous man. Calgurio thought that it would also be safer for Misha and others to escape in this way. You're not trying to buy time, are you? What? It's because someone ran away from here that you're being used as bait. The idea of sacrificing the ego in this way is great, but it's a shame it's all for nothing. Because those people were packed away long ago. Then out of thin air, 2 bodies were transformed and left to lie on the ground. Could it be the single digits? The real identities of those bodies were those of Bonnie and Ju. At this point, there was a tension in the command. It wasn't just Krishna who was shocked. Those who stayed behind clearly understood what a single-digit defeat meant. That is, they couldn't beat Diablo. No, more importantly, how? Then our death, the death of all the generals and soldiers, will not mean anything at all. Everyone, draw your guns. There's an intruder. To crush the invaders. Kufufufufu. You're all lowlifes, and you want to fight me like that? Shut up, you demon. There are more than 1,000 other warriors on guard here. No matter how good you are, what can only one person do? Kufufufufu. That sentence came a little late. Those who survive are just you. It seems the adjutant didn't understand what the other party was saying for a while. Yet what was going on outside, Calgurio knew even without looking. At this point Diablo snapped. He snapped his fingers. Just then, the cover of the tent was blown open. The light outside reflected into the eyes of Calgurio and the others. There you can see mountains of bodies. The soldiers were all dead, as if asleep. No, Calgurio found that was exactly what happened. Before the soldiers could even resist, the souls were taken by Diablo. Now on again. Right before our eyes, tragedy rears its head. When Diablo snapped his fingers, Krishna and the rest fell to the ground. Despair and sadness swept over Calgurio's chest. He cried out in blood and tears. Immediately after, Calgurio's emotions saturated and exploded. That being said, Diablo had no reason to let the enemy escape. Receiving the order from Rimuru, Diablo headed happily to the battlefield. Explore Krishna's aura, discover the enemy's command, and later snoop into the situation. This time he just happened to run into Bonnie and the others as they came over, and Diablo wasn't going to let anyone get away, so of course he would finish them off. Those 2 were stronger than one might think. Misha looked at it and began to feel panicked, so she confessed that she was under Yuki's command. Since Rimuru and Yuki belonged to the partnership by default, Diablo would not disobey Rimuru, so he only let Misha go. He returned to the Imperial Army's camp and the invasion was successful. He was also afraid that it would be troublesome for the other side to make a commotion, so he used end of the world to take his life when he saw someone. Right in front of Diablo's eyes, Calgurio let out a growl. Calgurio has pushed the limits of humanity. He would have belonged to the qualified people. Now that he has surpassed the immortal level, the energy has gradually increased. Was it desperation that awakened him? It looked like it was the guilt that was pushing him further up the ladder. That's what's worth fighting me for. Immersed in such feelings, Calgurio awakened. Strength rises, and it's still a growing strength never experienced before. I see, so it is. Your Majesty, Lord Rudra was hoping I would awaken. I vow to right my wrongs. As soon as Calgurio finished shouting these words, the divine armor that emitted light wrapped around his body. I'll never forgive you, demon. I'll kill you, kufufufufu. That's the fun part. The 2 men just glared at each other and the final battle began. Calgurio raised the strength on his body to the limit, making his best effort with his first move. I'll admit this guy is a terrible demon, but when it comes to me now, he's no match. With this power, true dragon, demon lord or hero are all good, I'll take them all down. With this power, even the opponent, the demon archduke, could be exterminated. It's no wonder that Calgurio is so convinced. Alas, how disappointing. A surefire jab is lightly diffused by Diablo. How is that possible? What's there to wonder about? Why are you okay? Ask me why, for a simple reason. It's because you don't have enough fire in you to use this power well. You say I'm not hot enough. Right. I personally feel very sorry for it too. It is too early to fight. Compared to those 2 just now, they were still relatively strong. Although it was suspected to be a borrowed power, they already had ultimate skills on them. If your power had been awakened sooner, we would have had a more enjoyable showdown. It was an insult to Calgurio, and he couldn't take it. Damn it, don't underestimate me, you demon. Calgurio understood in his heart. He knew he could not defeat this demon in front of him. Knowing he couldn't win, Calgurio still gave it his all. At least take revenge, or everything they do will be for naught. Wanting to deny that, Calgurio would only fight recklessly. But that can no longer be called fighting. As a result, Calgurio, who was the last man in the Imperial army, was defeated and didn't even get Diablo to get serious. And then his soul was taken away.